Plaquemine Parish Council, July the 23rd, 2020, at 5:31 p.m. is now called to order. We'll have roll call, please. Machines are open. Let the record reflect that we have 5 councilmen present. We have Councilman Black, Councilman Gouy, Councilman Albro, and Councilman Newberry absent. Okay.
Item 2, executive session.
No, hold tight on that, hold on.
Okay.
At this time, I would like to move to item 10K.
K, motion to override veto of ordinance number 20-63 entitled, "An Ordinance to Amend the 5-Year Capital Improvement Plan, New Courthouse Project and Replacement, Point Lahash Ferry Landing Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto."
Mr. Chairman, we do have an email.
Okay,
I offer, Mr. Chairman.
we have a motion by Mr. Bartholomew,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Roussel. Mr. Bartholomew.
Let's hear from the email that was sent, if you don't mind, and any other discussion from the table or the audience.
Ms. Barb?
This email is from Elton Frederick, 108 Victors Road, Belle Chase, Louisiana, 70037. The ferries are a very important part of the infrastructure of our parish for business, industry, especially the working man getting to work. It's not just for the East Bank. Businesses and workers on both sides of the river, up and down the road, are being affected by the cutback in ferry service and also the reduced load limits because of dilapidated Point Lahash ferry ramps. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there was money to replace the Point Lahash ferry ramps after Hurricane Katrina, but the Nungesser administration had what I think was a misguided idea to create only one ferry crossing at the Jesuit Bend Woodlawn areas. I was told the bid for that came in at about $80 million, and the idea was scrapped. Now we have a dedicated money again, but we have more excuses. I don't believe this is being well thought out, and now I'm hearing that it's going to be a few years before the ramps can be built, so we will use the money for something else. I've heard the reason for the delay is we need to find a new location for the ferry ramps in order that we have ferry service while the new ramps are being built. That makes no sense to me because the old ramps will probably be condemned before the new ramps are built anyway. I believe that the new ramps can be built in the same location they are now for a whole lot less money and minimal delay. How long was the Belle Chase Ferry out of service while the new ramps were being put in at the same location? I'm guessing most of it was prefabbed off-site except for driving pilings. Point LNG is planning on starting the construction of its liquefied natural gas export terminal in Bohemia in a couple of years. They expect to have 200 permanent workers and up to 800 construction jobs, according to an article I read in the New Orleans Advocate. We need to get this ferry ramp replacement done as soon as possible so parish workers and businesses from all parts of the parish can take advantage of that opportunity. I'm originally from the East Bank, but now live in Belle Chase in District 2. I know people in every district of our parish, and to Councilmember Newberry, I ask that you please understand this vote. It is just as important to the people of your district as any other. The ferry is much more important to the average parish citizen than office buildings. I urge the council to please override the veto of ordinance 20-63 and keep the money dedicated for the Point Lahash ferry ramps. We need to stop making excuses and find a way to get this project started now. Thanks, Elton Frederick.
Are there any more comments from the table?
I'd like to make a comment.
John Gender? Public first, he said.
Mr. Blank?
Certainly. Look, we all know that ferry is vital to the success of the parish. I mean, it's a serious link in our transportation chain here, and it's, for better or worse, the courthouse has been built in Point Lahash, and we need to get folks to and from. The river bisects the parish right down the middle. While I'm sure my colleagues have a very good reason why they're not here, it is a shame that they couldn't be here to vote on this and support that vital link in infrastructure. Procedurally, I don't think we're able to override the veto today due to the number of folks that we have here. I yield.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, thank you, and thank you all for coming today on this most important issue. As you can see, as Mr. Blank has alluded to, that we have a lighthouse today. That being said, procedurally, it takes 6 votes to override a presidential veto. You also may notice that the president is not here as well. And I'm not sure, what the situation is, but I can tell you that the veto that was issued is misguided. The money that we have appropriated for the ferry landing is an obligation that we have to an agreement we have with the DOTD and the FHWA, Federal Highway Administration, to provide matching funds for a project that is sorely needed. Anyone who drives over the Point Lahash ferry and looks at what you're driving on should be nervous. The issue of taking this money and moving it to another building has been discussed for some time. There are alternatives to be able to provide both projects. However, this battle has gotten political for no reason. I can tell you that this discussion on these ferry ramps has been going on for several years, knowing that the intention all along, and once the letter came back over a year ago to say that this money can be used for the ferry ramps, is surprising to me at least. I don't know why the administration chose to go down this path, but for those of you who are here today, you may want to save your comments until next meeting, because what will happen is the veto will stay in today. However, I believe that this effort will not be abandoned. There will be an introduction. We will go through this same routine at the next meeting. I encourage you to come and bring as many people as you can to the next meeting to support this project, because it is needed. It's been in the works for way too long. It's an obligation that we have. And, whether or not you realize what's going on with the politics of it, I wish you'd enlighten me, because I could not understand why we would be doing a veto like this. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. And I read the veto message, and the veto message is not very convincing to me. So again, for procedural purposes, we will vote today, and whatever the vote is, it still will not be enough to override the veto. So the president is a victory for him as far as the veto goes, because he killed the money for the ferry ramp to his detriment. And I speak today as a past president, and I don't say this very often, but as the parish president for 8 years, I understand how you have to look at the parish as a parish-wide entity. You represent everybody in this parish, and especially when the commitment has been made to build a courthouse of this magnitude, where we spent $20,500,000 to date to put this structure here. And many of you know that I was an advocate for many years of not building it here. But it is here. And I came around and voted to build it here after the people voted to keep it here. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. And so after all of those efforts to move it failed, it is what it is the old cliche that you hear all the time. And that's where we're at today. We're in Point Lahash. And for us to deny or try to mortgage the future to funding to replace that ramp when we have it in our hands today, which we will need in 18 to 24 months, because the engineering and design plans are underway today. The state has issued a letter to proceed to the engineering firm. The parish president has sent the check for our portion of the engineering and design firm fees to the state. So we're in the middle of this project. We're not at the end or the beginning, we're in the middle. And so why would you take the risk of not having that money when that contract is due? Because what happens is when this project is bid, it's going to be bid and the parish is going to manage this contract, which means that the parish is going to issue checks to the contractor, and we're going to be submitting invoices to the state, and we're going to be reimbursed, which means we have to have a cash flow, which we're in a crying need for right now, which we don't have. So this administration should know what the cash flow problem is and what it will be unless, and let me quote, unless there is an alternative here to shut the ferry down. Now, if that's the case, it's an easy decision. You're either going to shut the ferry down and build some buildings or renovate some buildings, one of the two, if that's what we want to look at it as. I believe I have an alternative to do both, but that's not being considered right now. And I'm going to yield at that, but I caution you today that no matter what you say today will not have any effect on the board's vote of accomplishing the override. So if you want to save time and effort and come to the next meeting in Belchase, which will be the second Thursday of the month, when this item will be on the agenda again, to appropriate the funds once more for that project, that's what I would encourage you to do. And I'll yield.
Audience.
Is there any more comments from the table? Mr. Konovich?
Well, if it ever comes down to getting rid of ferries, I'll never vote to get rid of this one or the other one, because what nobody looks at, and it's been done before, because hurricane flooded the West Bank Road, so the people from down the road didn't have a way out except for going across the ferry. So even if the plant blew up or something happened, emergency, that would be the only way to get out, through the ferries. So you're trapping the people down the road if you get rid of the ferries.
Is there any comments from the audience?
Have a comment.
Could you please step outside and see if anyone want to make a comment in the hallway?
And while we're at this stage of the discussion, I appreciate you holding your comments tonight, because they'll be needed at the next meeting. And I encourage you to please come back and make those comments at the next meeting. Thank you.
No comments from myself.
Thank you. You'd like to say something, Mr.
Yeah.
Bellamy?
Ferry system is part of our transportation system, our roads and our highways. And we cannot connect and complete our highways unless those ferries are in operation. They also provide a service to the public, medical, business, and transportation. And the need is greater than ever before that those ferries need to run. We had a lot of ways in and out of maintaining ferries. In the beginning, it was always the Road Royalty Fund, which averaged about $4 or $5 million a year. And that was utilized to maintain and operate the ferries. With the infinite wisdom of our state legislatures, they changed it to give us the opportunity, or the government opportunity, to put that money in general fund. And that was a bad move, because once it goes in general fund, it goes anywhere. So my whole rationale would have been, since we're using it for that, to maintain the ferry, let it stay there. Since it's money's coming in, it's not money being appropriated, it's not tax dollars. It's not coming from our constituency. It's coming from the state. Now, we are in a state of emergency, financial-wise. But yet, we are trying to design an avenue to take money from a courthouse project that hasn't been completed and incorporate into new buildings in Belle Chase. We have one building that has been completed by the DA, $4.4 million so far. That's a lot of money. If we'd have put that kind of money into this building, we could have had enough space for everybody in the parish. But with the infinite wisdom of the courthouse district or the commission, they saw fit not to increase the square footage they need for each political component. So when they did that, that means it was designed not to do it, so they can have the square footage at buildings in another area and be built or renovated at the expense of the taxpayers' money. And now we asking again, we're going to be asking taxpayers to vote on referendums for millages. But yet we started spending money that we don't need to spend at this particular time. Now, the most wise thing should have been they should have extended the square footage like the two judges did, what they need for operation in this building. That's what should have been done by all the departments that need to be here. That's what needs to be done. Then even a little bit better than that, when we came in the fiscal year, when the second time we got, my second time when the people was coming in, they didn't need the square footage, they should have said something to the council members at that point in time. We could have amended the contract with the builders, with the engineers to redesign, to add to this building, so that those square footage could be ample and very well supplied to those who need to be here. And what did? No, we let it go. They didn't want it. The intent was not to be here. And by not having the square footage, that was just an excuse why they're not here today. And I don't think the taxpayers need to be charged with that assessment that it's going to cost to maintain and operate. Now, here we are at the crossroads. So what do we have to do? If the square footage is needed, we have to understand and look at it. We have to evaluate it. We have to know how much square footage is really needed. Do we have any buildings that we own in the northern end that can accommodate those parties that's looking for square footage? We have buildings that's available without needing construction done. You can walk right in. We have those buildings available to meet the needs of those seeking new buildings. How can we justify taking money so vital as to support the operation of this complex that we're sitting in today and denying the people access? How you would feel if you live in Venice, drive all the way around to Belle Chase to come down here, then drive all the way back to get to your home? How would you feel to do it in Sunrise or Buras? Drive all the way around to Belle Chase, come in, go all the way back. How would you like to do it in Port Southern? How would you like to do that in Ironton even? Even Judgment Bend even? See, there's no justification for not building these ramps and operating these ferries. No justification that I have heard yet to say, no, we don't need those ferries. We do. And I hope that people come to consensus, especially the politicians that's not on board, and realize what they have done and what they're trying to do to the public. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I will reserve my statements at the next council meeting. With that,
I'll call for the question.
call for the question. Machines are open.
Anybody?
Yes, vote is to override. Right?
Yes to override.
Yep. I see, it's just override.
And the vote is 5-0, which it fails because you needed 6 votes to override the veto.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to take a privilege, announcement privilege at this point in time. It may have failed according to the legality component, but it has passed among these council members here today to ratify the fact that we honestly believe in good government for and by the people. And we stand with that as our true mission as council members. Thank you.
Would like to move to item 8, introductions.
An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan, new courthouse project and replacement, Point Lahash Ferry Landing project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Bartholomew. Councilmember Konovich, an ordinance to rescind, annul, and set aside ordinance number 20-76, which amend the 2020 operating expenditure budget, general fund, parish council general department, and the 5-year capital improvement plan, construction, new courthouse project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Blink, an ordinance authorizing and establishing a policy and procedure for payment of outstanding final legal judgment and unpaid settlements against Plaquemines Parish government and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Newberry, a resolution authorizing the chairman to call a special meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council for a mid-year budget review of the 2020 operating budget and on the 2020 capital improvements budget covering a period of at least 5 years, setting the date, time, and location of said meeting, authorizing the council secretary to place the necessary public notice in the Plaquemines Gazette and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance, a resolution authorizing the parish president on behalf of Plaquemines Parish government to file any and all necessary pleadings, motions, and documents in Purdue, forma LP et al., case number 19-23649, or DD, Bank or SDNY, necessary to preserve any claims for damages and/or civil penalties owed to the parish and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance, an ordinance to amend the 2020 operating revenue and expenditure budgets, various funds, various departments, various line items, to amend the 2020 general fund, fund balance designations, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance, an ordinance to amend the 2020 operating expenditure budget, various funds, various departments, various line items, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That's all of the introductions.
Thank you. We'll move to item 2, please.
Executive session 2A. The Parish of Plaquemines versus ConocoPhillips et al., 25th JDC, number 60-982, Division B, and all its consolidated cases, attorneys Carmouche, Cossage, Parasola, Taylor, Connick, Berglass, and Tankersley. Councilmember LaFrance. 2B, in re National Prescription Opiate Litigation, case number 17 MD-2804, and in re Purdue Former LP et al., case number 19-23649, or DD, Bank or SDNY. Attorney Jacques Touzette, Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered for executive session,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Blank. And the measure passes 5-0 to go in executive session at 5:54 PM. Already? Like to return from executive session at 6:15. No binding decision was made in executive session. We'll move to item 3.
There are no proclamations.
Item 4.
Status report by the parish president. Discussion and recommendation by the administration on the CNC Marine and Repair LLC tax exemption application number 2019003-ITE. Councilmember Roussel.
Yes, I believe we have the Economic Development Director here who is gonna make some presentation to us, and my intention today is to get the presentation made today, and then to defer resolution item K on the agenda till the next meeting.
I gave to Ms. Barbara the table from the assessor. Also, the assessor emailed that to you all. I have the application here with all the relevant facts. If anybody has any questions, I can answer that. The total amount of the exemption for year one for, as relates to parish government is 16.77 mils, which totals out to be $17,908. That goes down over a 10-year period based off of depreciation rates provided by the Louisiana Tax Commission. The total amount of the investment is $9.4 million. Like I said, $17,000 exempt, $4,477 will be collected if this is approved. According to the application by CNC Marine, these investments are going to provide 35 new jobs with the estimated additional payroll of approximately $804,000. Any questions?
Could you give us a total exempt over the 10-year period?
Okay, the total exempt over the 10-year period is $143,453. Again, these are estimates based off of average depreciation, but it's a great ballpark figure. It's right in the right range.
And that's only on the 20%?
That's an 80% exemption, 20% collected. So the exemption is on 100%. It's 80% of 100% of the investment. I don't think I understood your question.
I don't think I understood your answer. So let me ask it again. The amount of money that we are exempting for the first year, $17,908, the parish's millages only. So that is based on 20% of the total assessment, and if we reject this and seek the 100% tax, which could be overturned by the state, I understand all that, what would the number be?
If you guys reject the exemption, the parish would collect the first year about $22,000, $22,400.
And over the 10-year period?
Over the 10-year period, it would be approximately $189,000.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions from the table? Audience? We'll move to the next item, please.
Discussion regarding the East Bank levy, specifically who is responsible for the maintenance, grass cutting, and repairs of seepage leaks. Councilmember Badalamy.
Yes. You get some information on that. I know the parish cut the grass. Are we getting subsidized by the federal government and cutting the grass on the federal levies? And how much are we getting, if we get anything?
No, sir.
What, we don't get any money?
We just cut the grass on the right of ways, which is the levee.
Yeah.
And we do work with the quarry stone in the top of the levee when people ride.
Wait. Let me get straight. So we don't receive any monies from the federal government to cut grass on the levees? No?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I'll have
no.
to get that answer. I'll get it for you tomorrow.
Okay.
We don't.
Now, the other question is the repairs that need to be made on the seepage of the levee. Is it our responsibility or is it the Corps of Engineers' responsibility?
Well, it's all notified to the Corps. They all recognize each seepage areas. And, they know about it. They've been there for years.
Right.
If they would have to tear down the levee, that would be up to
The
the
re-
Corps to be able to do that project.
The reason why I'm saying that, because people that work for the Corps said, we are responsible to maintain the levee and repair those seepage, where we have those rocks and all that stuff at.
Uh-huh.
It's our responsibility to do that. See, we're getting paid to do that.
Right.
But I don't know anything about that. I don't know if you do.
No. Well, when like the slope pavement cracks,
Yeah,
our job is to put quarry stone in those holes, and then when the Corps comes back, and it's their job to repair that slope pavement area.
so it's the Corps job to take those rocks and pave that where it need to be
Fix the
placed.
pavement properly. yeah.
Okay. So I can give them that answer. Okay, thank you.
Any questions from the table? Audience? Next item.
Discussion regarding the Point Lahash Marina. Councilmember Bartholomew.
Yes. Well, the problem I'm having is that the grass is not being cut like we had in the past. And I noticed that
Get closer to the mic, Mr. Bartholomew.
the grass is not being cut like it used to. And all around the island, that's not cut at all. It looked like garbage. And I know you went down there with your team and did some cutting, trying to spruce it up. And at one point, the tractor wasn't fixed. I don't know if that's repaired or not. But if problem is to help or whatever, I mean, I can volunteer my time to go cut that grass down there and bring it back to like it used to be, so nice and immaculate down there.
Right. David is back now. He was out on some personal time, so he'll be there the whole time now. We'll get all that caught back up. Unfortunately, today, it's,
Rain, we can't do nothing.
yeah, it's got a
This whole
water
week is
on it
shot.
right now.
Yeah, this whole week is shot.
So once we get that cleared out, we'll have him back there manicuring that, and we are gonna try to find a replacement for Donaldson, who was there before. So once we can get that team back together, and that grass will be kept up, and, we're trying to keep that marina clean.
What,
We also, like I said at the Boat Harbor meeting, is asking folks to please help us. Put the garbage in the garbage can, just don't throw it on the ground. That's one of the biggest things we have is my guys, our team's out there picking up trash. They're not doing the job they're supposed to be doing because they're picking up everybody else's garbage when we have everything supplied. So we ask for that help inside the harbors, just to keep it going. But, once we get past this wet season, we'll have everything back in and hopefully a new harbor master
Yeah.
will be on time.
well, I don't know if we have that big of a problem with that at the Powerhouse Marina. The only problem we would have would be the overflow
Right.
of the container. It's not the idea that people are not throwing it in there, they're throwing it, but the only problem is that we receive outside marina garbage at the marinas,
Exactly.
as well. So, and I don't know if a larger container would make it easier to make sure that the fishermen, wherever they are, drop their stuff, if we have enough square yards to put it in. And but other than that, I don't see it being an issue. But we're very much concerned about when can we get that dirt that this council passed a resolution to build a ridge on the south side.
As soon as the weather clears up,
You're gonna start working on that?
Roussel said he would have a team back over there.
Cause that,
putting his
right.
mud and
Right.
bringing it back in, and we'll be putting it on that south side to keep that water from.
Yeah, because you can see how messy that thing
Oh,
got. It's terrible, yeah.
No doubt about it.
And that was the reason for doing that, to appropriating that legislation for that, to clear that up, because it was such a nice place.
I agree.
And I think we need to do that. And the other thing, I don't know what we can do to try to get some of those lilies out of the marina. I know if you can rent a boat, you to talk to Delacroix Corporation, because they have a skiff or something with the forks, like with the things in the front,
Right?
pushes that stuff. And maybe we can borrow, or they can
Well,
come and
as
do us
soon
a
as-
service.
As soon as the, just
On the
before
ramp,
pushes
you know?
out, he's gonna bring me a, track hoe with a thumb on it, so we can reach out
Yeah.
and grab all that stuff.
Yeah, but what they did is had I don't know, about 120, 200 horsepower engine on the back, and we had a push thing on the front that picks up the lilies, push the lilies to the bunk, yeah. And the water just goes through, but it pushes the lily all the way to the bank. But you would have to have someone there to grab the lilies as they push them to the bank and move them out the way.
Right.
And I think that's the only way we're gonna get rid of that.
I agree.
And the other problem with that, if they die and sink, it clogs the marina up. It fills up, so we're back to square one with another problem with the drainage in it. And, I mean, the depth, the water depth in that area. And snakes and stuff, you know the snake, I ain't gotta tell you about that. So we got a problem with that, because the guys can't even, gotta carry guns now. We're just going to go to their slip because of those snakes, in the slips down there, you know.
But you
But
have,
after that, the water, huh?
you have my attention and we'll
I
be
know.
on it to take care of it.
And the water line has been ran, I appreciate that very much. We're watching around there, 2 leaks. Fix one, the other one pop off, so I don't know what's going on with that. But that's done, so I appreciate that. And we are picking up boats, and I think in an orderly manner, so I appreciate that. And that kind of had a standstill on that, but you took care of that.
Right.
So, those I appreciate. So, when you get, the other stuff done, give me a holler, give me a call, let me know what's going on, so they ask me, I can let them know.
Absolutely.
All right?
Absolutely.
And one more thing I like for you, and not the Marines do it,
Okay.
let's see. The Deer Van Pond, we're supposed to work on something, so think about it, just think about it. That's all.
It's
It's not on the agenda to
part of,
discuss, I'm just saying.
It's not on the agenda, but I'll just tell you.
I know we
It's
had
part
talked
of the
about
East
that.
Bank Land Bridge project
Yeah.
that we're working on with CPRA, so they can do the land bridge going all the way across from East Phoenix, all the way up to St. Bernard. So there'll be a corridor that comes through there, so there'll be improvement to that pond as we go and continue building marsh right on the other side of it.
About restocking too.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, on the first bullet, I had an email I was supposed to read before the discussion. My apologies. But it came from a Will Hildebrand at 116 Pie Street, Belle Chase, Louisiana. And his message is, as a taxpayer of this parish, I would like for CNC Marine to pay their fair share of taxes, just as we homeowners pay our fair share of taxes. I would like to suggest that all council members and the administration vote against the tax exemption application.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. We'll move to the status on Walker Road boat launch. Mr. Roussel?
Yes, anyone have a status on that?
Yes, it's currently in design with Meyer Engineering. As soon as I get the design, the first layouts, I'll shoot you a copy of that from them. They're starting with the permit phase and the environmental studies. Also, we had someone contact us about putting in some kayak launches, and they'd like to partner with us, so we're going to have a meeting with those folks soon and see what they want to bring to the table also.
I'd like to be involved in the design, discussions
Okay,
before it gets to the point of finalizing.
okay.
I missed a serious opportunity with the Empire Safe Harbor because I couldn't have a few things that made sense to put in there.
And that's why I'm asking, is Mr. Blink educated me on some issues in the safe harbor that he would like to have put in, but so I want to
Now,
get in.
your back down is basically a general back down with a small 30-foot dock and a parking lot.
I know, I just want to see from the beginning a little bit of what's going on with it so I can understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we also have an email on this topic from a Mr. Will Hildebrand at 116 Pie Street, Belle Chase, 70037. I first learned about the boat launch to be constructed on Walker Road during the last campaign for the election for councilman in District 5, which has been about 3 years. Councilman Roussel and Engineering Chief Ken Dugas all have assured me that the project had been funded and will be built. Well, that was 3 years ago, still no boat launch. It is my understanding that the parish will have to build the boat launch to the engineering specs, and after completion, will be refunded for the work. Would the administration please push to get this much-needed boat launch built?
Thank you. Any comments from the table? Audience? We'll move to status of flood insurance rate maps and adoption schedule. Mr. Roussel.
Yes, I think that it's time that we start having some serious discussions on this issue. I got an email that said that they're going to go into effect, I believe, January of 2021, which is not very far from now. Does anyone have any updates on it? If not, I'd like to be able to have some heavy discussion on this so the public understands what's coming their way.
Yes, sir. We've given information to the PIO. PIO is supposed to be coordinating that stuff to set up public information to get that out.
And I'd like to be included in that, to be able to understand what the parish is doing and when do we have to adopt the schedule for these maps, and if we're going to be forced to adopt them by FEMA. So there are several issues with this subject matter here that we need to address and have some discussion on.
Yes, sir.
I'll defer this item till the next meeting.
We'll move to the step. Oh, Mr. Blank?
Yeah, in regard to the FEMA flood map changes, there's a program with FEMA called the CRS, Community Rating System, where if the local governments handle certain issues, the flood insurance rates can actually get lower. It's something our floodplain manager probably needs to be working on. Some of this stuff is just making sure we have enough storm drains or clean, stuff like that. Others are a little bit of a drag on the economy, can't build in the floodplain, things like that. We could find what works best for the parish and probably save the ratepayers some money if that the community rating system is looked into. Thanks.
I'll make sure we check into it.
Thank you.
Status of the engineered road drainage project. Mr. Roussel.
Oh, yes, this project is well over 10 years old and still in design. I got a call or email rather from the engineering department, which is going to set up a meeting to discuss this on Monday. I would ask the administration that it doesn't require me to put things on the agenda to be informed or to get a response. So I would ask that, we have some communication on these projects. I've been here 6 years, and this project is still sitting there, similar to other projects that took 10, 15 years to do. And so I'm going to go to this meeting Monday and hopefully get a status, which I'm assuming is going to be the same. We're working on it. So I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start pushing a little harder on these issues and not just sitting back and waiting for the administration to reach out. And the reason these things pile up on the agenda is because we don't have the communication that's required that we need, at least that I need, to be able to answer my constituents. As you heard by Mr. Wildebrand over there, talking about this boat launch. I get bombarded with these things in the public and have no answer. It's not a good situation. So I'm going to defer this item and hopefully get the answers, or at least an update, a positive update on Monday. So thank you.
Any questions from the table? Audience? The secretary had discovered 2 emails comments on the prior action to go into executive session that were inadvertently not read into the records. The secretary requested to read these items into the record at this time.
The first item is from Mark Earhart, Executive Director of Grow Louisiana Coalition. Good morning. On behalf of the Grow Louisiana Coalition's 200 members who live in Plaquemines Parish, we write in opposition to the continued pursuit of senseless lawsuits against Louisiana's and Plaquemines' energy industry. After 7 years, the people of Plaquemines have seen no movement in the courtroom on these issues, while oil and natural gas work in the parish has steadily declined. During the same time, the oil and natural gas industry directly paid more than $250 million towards protecting and building Louisiana's coast. Trial lawyers and lawsuits have produced $0, not 1 cent, for Louisiana's or Plaquemines' coast. The lawyers sustaining these lawsuits for their own gain are claiming that there is a settlement afoot and that progress is being made. The Louisiana legislature does not support this settlement talk, despite what the lawyers may tell you. In recent legislative session, the House and Senate both refused to pass enabling legislation required for a settlement in these cases and instead passed a resolution disavowing the lawsuits altogether. We do not support this proposed settlement. It is not right for Plaquemines or for Louisiana. Continuing to talk about these senseless lawsuits, especially in private and outside of the view of the citizens of Plaquemines Parish, only hurts Louisiana's most important industry, and it hurts the efforts to grow Louisiana's coast. The second is from Tyler Gray, submitted on behalf of himself and Gifford Briggs with the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association. Dear members of the Plaquemines Parish Council, during the 2020 regular session of the Louisiana Legislature, specifically on the May 7th Senate Committee on Natural Resources hearing, opponents to Senate Bill 359 asserted they are at the finish line of negotiating pending settlements, with some plaintiffs and multiple defendants party to the pending coastal litigation. Contrary to such assertions, the Louisiana Oil and Gas Association and the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association can unequivocally confirm that our members are not interested in settlement framework for introduced to the general public in an article published in September 2019 and proposed in SB 490. The alleged settlement requires amending Louisiana State and Local Coastal Resource Management Act to codify an alleged agreement between one company, Freeport-McMoran, and a handful of parishes, including Plaquemines. Practically speaking, SB 490 allows a select group of unelected attorneys to dictate public policy, reversing course on decades of the current successful program without public oversight or input from government leaders. The bill creates a Coastal Zone Recovery Fund, which would divert money from the state's current program to other projects, including those not pertaining to coastal restoration and protection. Conversely, LMOGA and LOGA promote SB 359, seeking to provide a simple clarification that conveys the original intent of the law to delineate state and local matters as it pertains to coastal management activities. SLCRMA and CPRA were diligently created by scientists, elected officials, and stakeholders over 40 years, creating actual tangible progress for Louisiana's precious coastline, reducing the rate of land loss to its lowest levels in the last 5 years ever. The Coastal Zone Recovery Fund was created by plaintiff attorneys negotiating a settlement instrument through which they are compensated. This is the only accomplishment after 7 years of frivolous litigation. While the debate has been muddied, the diverging approaches are crystal clear. LOGA and LMOGA members are supportive of protecting current practices, which includes protecting our ability to consider and pass policies that are in the best interest of our state, our people, and our coast. Sincerely, Gifford Briggs, Louisiana Oil and Gas Association, Tyler Gray, Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association.
Thank you, Ms. Barb. Anina, motion?
Yeah, Mr. LaFrance, I'd like to make a motion to ratify the prior action to go into executive session, which the vote was 5 for and 0 against. Offered.
We have a motion by Mr. Roussel, seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any discussion? Machines are open. And the message passes 5-0.
Thank you.
We'll move to item 4A.
Update by Charter Directors. A1, old business. A2, new business.
Any questions from the table for our directors? Audience? We'll move to item 5. Hold on. You have a, please come to the mic. State your name, address.
Reverend Tyrone, I just want to let Mr. Solomon know that I did talk to Mr. Ethby because the water is real low in Phoenix, and he told me he's going to move on that tomorrow, but I talked to him when y'all was in the executive session.
I'll scratch it off my list.
Any other comments? Move to item 5, please.
Bids and advertisements, there are none. Item 6, beer and liquor license, there are none. Item 7A, construction permits, we'll take 7A 1, 2, and 3, global.
We're gonna defer 3.
Okay, thank you. Seven A one, Karuba Engineering, Inc., application number 2020-307 dated May 5th, 2020. Install floating boards, 2 mooring pile dolphins, gangway and elevated walkway on pile bents, Magnolia Boat Launch, Diamond Road, Port Sulphur. Councilmember LaFrance. Item 2, the Louisiana Fruit Company, application number 2020-416 dated June 9th, 2020, maintenance dredge canal number 1 at the Venice Port Complex, Venice, Councilmember Karnovich.
I so offer.
Second.
Any discussion from the table? Audience? Machines are open. And the measure passes 5-0. Item B,
Andrea Thomas, 4th Trailer Residence, 13181 Highway 15, Davant, Louisiana. Councilmember Bartholomew.
Offer.
I'll second. Any discussion from the table? Audience? Machines are open. And the measure passes 5-0. Next item, please.
Emil Graham, building at Fruit Stand in a floodplain zoning district, 21907 Highway 23, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. Councilmember
offered.
LaFrance.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Karnovich. Any questions from the table? Audience? Machines are open. And the measure passes 5-0. I would like to go down the list of the withdrawals and deferrals. Item 9G will be withdrawn. 9A2 withdrawn. 9A3 deferred. 9A4 deferred. 9B, 9C, 9D, 9E, 9F, 9I, 9J, 10E, and 9N, and 9M deferred.
And B. 10B.
And 10B.
And you can add 9K to that as well, deferred.
And 9K deferred. You need me to go over that again? 9G withdrawn. 9A2 withdrawn. Now I'm gonna do the deferrals. 9A3, 9A4, 9B, 9C, 9D, 9E, 9F, 9I, 9J, 10E, 9N, 9M, 9K, and 10B. So we'll start with 9A1.
An ordinance pursuant to Article 3, Plaquemines Parish Boat Harbor, Section 641, to set fees for lifting, blocking, storage, and stationary lifts at the Empire Venice and Point LaHash shipyards, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Blink. Is there any discussion from the table?
I'd like Mr. Helmers I talked to him about a couple of things people brought up to me.
Right, on passage and signature of this ordinance, it'll take anywhere from 7 to 14 days to implement the changes. So we'll be looking at mid-August by the time the actual rates go into place, because we'll have to put in a complete billing system and change all the forms and everything to adhere to the new ordinance. So we're looking at that time.
Could we,
Will any boats be picked up or put over?
Boats are being
Monday?
picked up and put down now. We do have an issue. We've been working on the main travel lift over in Empire. We're down to frayed cables. We've repaired pretty much everything else. We have the quote for the cables. I do not have it with me right now, but we'll be getting that fixed also. We replaced some hydraulic lines on the Point LaHash one and also in the Venice one. So we do have boats up in both areas. We just picked up yesterday and the day before, and we've been putting people back in Empire. But with this weather coming in, we'll probably have to hold off, until the tides go back down. We don't like to really put a lot of people in the shipyard when there's incoming tropical weather. So, yeah, it's usable. Some of the bigger boats, we just have to wait on that cable, but yeah, we making repairs every day.
All right, thank you.
Is there any more discussion from the table?
Okay, I've got-
Mr. Russo?
Yeah, I got a call, and obviously, there's two issues that they brought to my attention. One of them was, is there a $300 minimum to be picked up?
Yes.
Okay, I thought we had some discussion that it was going to go by the footage no matter what, and the 300 didn't really apply.
Well, we had discussed that and changed, and, well, I'm not privy to that one, but the minimum $300 is to cover the cost, the actual cost of running that machine, 3 guys to put that block up. Because when you get to a certain size boat and you run in that machine, it costs the same. So somebody with a larger boat is going to be compensating for somebody with a smaller boat on that level. So we figured out a rate that would cover that machine for 1 hour of operation to pick up a boat, block it, and put it in. And that boat, it runs around a 32-foot boat. So it's like whatever's greater, the cost per foot or the minimum charge will be applied.
The second issue they brought to me was that evidently you just made some comments about the frayed cable. They're alleging that they're not being picked up until after the new rate goes into effect.
I just said that August, even if the rates went, if y'all approve it tonight and it's signed next week, the rates wouldn't be in until at least middle of August, because it's going to take us time to restructure things. There's a lot of rumor bashing and a lot of social media going on, but there's, the facts are we have to change all the billing structure to get everything right and put it in place. I mean, it's not going to, I don't have it sitting in the wings right now.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Bartholomew?
and you can tell the public what is the amount of fees that we charge as breaking down so they know. Who
Residents,
haven't attended the meetings.
what's that?
So those who haven't attended.
Right. Commercial fishing residents, not in the boat harbor, that's just residents that live, it's $10 a foot. Commercial fishing harbor tenants that has a slip in good standing is $8 a foot. Non-resident tenants are $10 a foot. To use the hoist in Venice, it's $100 for 3 hours. That's the stationary hoist to pick them up, which we've just had repaired, and we're going through the process of fixing the ground and getting new straps for it. So that will be in use, and that's for a 3-hour charge. For picking up in a sling, it's $7 a foot, and that's taking the travel lift and holding them up for 3 hours and leaving them sit in that slip so they can change a wheel or get cables out and stuff like that. On the price, on that $10 a foot, $8 a foot, it includes 7 days. Right now, the price includes 3 days. So this goes to 7 days. The 7 days will then be followed by $25 a day for the next 7 days. After day 14 to 30, it would go to $25. And after 30, it goes to 75, I think, yeah, let's see, yeah. So what this is designed, 50 and 100, what this is designed to do is go to work and fix your boat. Because the longer they sit up on the yard in storage, it's really costing us by not getting another person up there and getting them in the water. We've been going through, we've removed 4 boats already, and we got like 3 more to go over in Empire. That's been sitting there for, some of them, 8 years. So people left town and just left their boats. So we're taking care of that stuff now.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Blank?
Yes. So you mentioned that boats weren't being picked up because of tropical weather. If we could have a written policy around that to where people, they could see that that's transparent and that's there.
Absolutely.
I think that would
If
be
you'd like to
very-
draw up an ordinance for that, that would be great.
It seems like y'all are already, operating that way. I'd like to just see it to where it could be
Ratify it. though.
posted on the wall there.
Ratify it with a resolution would be good.
Sitting out there in the audience.
What's that?
Ask the attorney to draw it up.
Sure. And then another thing, I think folks would like to see a menu on the wall of
Burger
the
King
prices,
board, and I got
you. Exactly, so they walk in and know exactly what to expect, and they could just do the math in their head and know that they're getting a fair shake. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Gotcha.
Any more questions from the table?
Yeah.
Audience? Oh, Mr. Konovich?
Can we do away with the minimum of 300 to pick up boats? And just go by the footage?
That's gonna put us back into the same fray of picking up a boat for $180 and $200, and it's not gonna cover the cost of the machine or the preventative maintenance that needs to be put back into, to keep this thing running. These machines haven't been taken care of. I don't know when. They only fix them when they break. We've had the man come down and he's went through that machine, and that'll help ensure us that these machines and everything work.
Yeah, but we're not charging any of the bigger boats more money,
The bigger boats?
because 36 foot isn't putting the same stress on that machine as a 40 or 50 foot boat.
But it still takes the time in operation. If that's what you want to do to amend that and pass it, and that'll be fine.
All right, can you take away your second?
Yeah. Yes. I'll withdraw my second.
Like to make an amendment, take out lines 38 and 39. I'll offer.
And we'll still have the 5% over 3 years in there. Okay. All right.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich,
Second?
seconded by Mr. Bartholomew. Any discussion? Audience? Machines are open
Amendment.
on the amendment. And it passes 5-0.
Call for the question. Nobody have any more comments?
Off.
Is there any more comments from the audience? Table, machines are open. And the measure passes 5-0.
Thank you, and you will see a vast improvement.
Nine H,
An ordinance authorizing and directing the parish president or his designee to have the Point Lahash Ferry run Monday through Sunday from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'd like to offer that at the request of the citizens that wanted us to go to 8. And I appreciate the administration for setting it up at 6 to 7:45. But they're requesting that sometimes they need to have the ferry at 8 o'clock.
we have a motion by Mr. Bartholomew,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Konovich. Is there any questions from the table? Any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, the machines are open. And the measure passes 5-0. Item L,
A resolution indicating the intention of the parish of Plaquemine, state of Louisiana, to become a participating political subdivision in the Louisiana Local Government, Environmental Facilities, and Community Development Authority, the authority, approving the appointment of a director to represent the parish of Plaquemines on the board of directors of the authority, and otherwise to providing with respect thereto as provided by Chapter 10-D of Title 33 of the Louisiana Revised Statute of 1950 as amended. Councilmember LaFrance.
I'll offer for discussion.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Conovich. Do we have someone at the administration desk that would like to explain?
No, sir, we don't know anything about it.
Okay, defer. Item 10.
10A1, a resolution authorizing President Lapine to contact the Louisiana State Legislature to officially rename Highway 15 to Sergeant Paul Narcisse Memorial Highway. Councilmember Bartholomew.
We have a motion by Mr. Bartholomew,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Conovich.
I'd like to
Mr.
have,
Bartholomew.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask that we can conclude to get a unanimous second on that.
Agreed.
Yes.
So be it. So,
Any discussion?
guys, Paul Narcisse is a hero in Vietnam. And Joseph, why don't you come and talk about his awards, his medals, and what he have done, and he died overseas at the war in Vietnam for his country, and for our sake as well. And Mr. Mr. Williams is the president of the American Legion in the Devan area, which is named after Paul Narcisse.
Please state your name and your address.
My name is Joseph Williams. I live at 125 Bazille Drive in Brightway, Louisiana. And I'm the commander of the American Legion, Post 430, here in Devant. And Paul Narcisse was a Vietnam veteran. He served 2 tours in Vietnam. His first tour was, he was appointed by the United States Army to go in Vietnam. His second tour, he volunteered. And in his second tour, he was fatally wounded and killed. He was born and raised here, about 2 miles from here. And he received a Bronze Star, Purple Heart, and about 8 other commendations from the United States of America. His name is on the Vietnam Wall. You can go there anytime and you'll find his name. And we feel like he was a hero. And we feel like since he was born and raised on Highway 15, we would like that to be named in honor of Sergeant Paul Narcisse, Memorial Highway. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I don't know if anybody else has any comments. Do you have no other comments, questions?
I want to thank you, Mr. Joseph, for your comments. I'd like to thank all our veterans, all our armed services, people who serve, who protect our freedom that we take for granted most of the time. That's all I have to say. Any questions or comments from the audience? Machines are open.
This is for the suspension.
Okay. And the measure passes 5-0. On a suspension,
I offer.
Second.
we have a motion by Mr. Bartholomew, seconded by Mr. Konovich on the resolution. Any question from the table?
Unanimous.
Unanimous second.
Okay, we'll have a unanimous second.
Bob, would you make it a unanimous second, please?
Yes, sir.
Want me to read it again?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, read it.
A resolution authorizing President Lapine to contact the Louisiana State Legislature to officially rename Highway 15 to Sergeant Paul Narcisse Memorial Highway.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bartholomew.
Offered.
A motion by Mr. Bartholomew, second.
Unanimous.
Unanimous second. Machines are open. And the measure passes 5-0.
Thank you very much for that support.
If able, could we have the sign department make something nice for either end?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's not a state highway, it's a parish highway.
Thank you.
It's not a state highway, so we don't need to go to state, I don't think. It's a parish highway. Right, Mr. Garrett? We still need to go to state?
Well,
No. Okay, it's a parish highway, we don't need to go to the state, but that's all right.
all right. We'll move to item C, please.
District 5 update, Councilmember Roussel.
Yes, what I'd like to do is have this removed from the agenda, since we are going to be putting our request or our updates underneath the president's report, since the president has asked us to do that. So I'll take this off the agenda, and that way it'll shorten the agenda, and I'll put my items underneath the president's report, since he requested it to be done that way. Thank you.
District 8 update, Councilmember Blink.
Sure, this is in regard to a discussion on grass cutting along the parish right-of-ways. I'd like to make myself available to jump on a tractor whenever possible to help with the workload. It's not ideal, but, I fully believe, we need all hands on deck. So, I'm willing to help in that capacity. Anything y'all need, usually weekends, after hours, my workload goes down a little bit. I can't do it all the time, but I'm happy to help. Also, it might be possible that drainage or mosquito control can pick up some of the grass cutting along some of the ditches to where we could get ahead. I understand we have a limited amount of tractors that are available, but if some of those smaller ones come back, we could, leave some of those at pumping stations where those guys can get out ahead of some of the grass. I think anything would help. I'm just looking for any kind of novel ideas. I understand we just have just a few tractors. I believe 4 A-booms for the entire parish.
We'll try to get you a key for some of the tractors, but where they cut grass, like the ones on the levees, they park at wherever they stop. So it'll be on the levees right there. So like, if they're around Boothville compactor site, they'll park by the compactor. We'll try to get you a key and see how it goes. And we're also getting some smaller tractors together with 5-foot bush hogs on them that we had laying around. So we're trying to get those going as we speak now.
I know when it's raining 3, 4, 5 inches a week, it's impossible to catch up no matter what. But do you have an idea of how many personnel and how much equipment is needed to keep the grass at a standard that most residents feel is satisfactory? Twice as much equipment as we have now, twice as many men?
Twice as much, probably, yes, sir.
Got it.
We're down to like 30 people in the prong department. So, and that's secretaries and foremen and mechanics. You got a couple of each, but some of the guys cut, 0 turns on servitudes, and some of them cut on A-booms, on ditch bank cutters. And then we also have the levee crews with the 15-footers.
Got it. And Scott, you and I have had this discussion. I'm just trying to highlight for folks at home, some of the challenges internally that we have to keep things looking as sharp as possible. But y'all are prioritizing areas that a lot of people live in versus, say, maybe the levee in the middle of the citrus lands, that kind of thing, right?
But we do routes and, it's hard when you break off the route and go somewhere else and then come back and then continue from the route. So like the tractor drivers on the lower end in the Triumph area right now, working their way south all the way to Venice. And the levee crews are around Fort Jackson heading back up north, which they cut all the way to Belle Chase. You know, so yes, if we had more tractors and employees, we could do a little bit better job. Yes, sir.
Scott, thank you. I know y'all are out in the trenches there, and it's thankless work, but we appreciate y'all, and we just want to show the public some of the challenges that we're facing internally. It's not easy work. Thank you again.
The problem I'm having is when the crew came down Highway 23, they didn't detour and cut Diamond Road, Highway 11. That's why the grass is 5 and 6 foot tall in Diamond. I know you saw the picture. They didn't detour. But however, when they do cut the grass in Jesuit Bend, they do detour and cut Highway 11 in Jesuit Bend. This time, they didn't detour in Diamond.
Yeah, the ditch bank crews cut Highway 11 and Diamond Road. The levee crews stay on the levee. So, I mean, that's what I've seen and the way they're working right now.
The road crew is you just said that they're cutting Donna Road in Booville and Venice heading south.
Yes, they left from Diamond, working their way down to Triumph. That's the ditch bank crews.
They didn't cut Diamond Road because the grass would never be that high if they would have cut it.
All right, the ditch bank crews cut Diamond Road.
I understand that.
Because they're already there. They don't
I
have the
understand
ditches
that.
On 23, so the big tractors cut the main section of the highway going down. The ditch bank crews cut Diamond Road and Highway 11 and on the lower end. Yes, sir.
Okay. How long does it take to make a round trip with the ditch bank cutters?
It depends on the weather and if people take vacations or tractors go down, it takes a while.
It takes a while.
you only
Exactly
got-
right. And that's,
You got like 4 tractors on the ditch bank crews from Port Sulphur, from Diamond, Point Celeste, going to Venice.
exactly right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So no matter if it's ditch bank or the levee or the road crew, whenever they come through Diamond, whenever they're around Diamond, they have to cut Diamond Road.
Right.
We already killed a 10-foot alligator and a 12-foot alligator. Y'all saw the pictures that I had on email. I know y'all saw it. The previous administration, they stood on Amos Cormier because he didn't cut the grass on the southern end. Mr. Lapine said he was going to get the job done. He was going to sign the contract with the state, and he will have the grass cut. Well, I'm telling you now, the grass is not cut. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because people are on me. They're on me, they're on everybody else. Mr. Konovich, there's alligators making nests on the levee. But what I'm saying is, and that's on the left, but what I'm saying, anytime any crew pass through Diamond, they're gonna have to cut the grass.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Roussel. Thank you. And I appreciate everything what you and the administration does, but I mean, I have to get that clear because now it's a safety issue. Because a lot of people in Diamond, they walk that road. And in the picture I took, I was scared to take the picture. I told them, hurry up and snap the picture because I was scared. You know, it's just bad right now.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. And then if we need to buy some new equipment, because I know they need equipment, because every time I turn around, I see Jordy Ancall hauling a piece of tractor, he hauling a tractor up and down on the low ball.
Yes, sir, that's true.
A piece of tractor.
Okay.
You know, I know you need better equipment. I know that. And the problem is that we taking equipment from down here and have to bring it all the way to Baton Rouge to get the tractor fixed because the people who we bought the tractors from can't fix the tractor.
We trying all our sources to get the tractors fixed.
I think you need some new tractors myself. Any more? Huh?
stay out of the tractor stuff.
Well, I'm gonna just leave it like this. Nothing to run like a deer.
That tastes like a deer.
Scott, I haven't spent a lot of time in the Midwest, but I do notice, in films, things like that, when they're showing, the Midwest, there's a lot of farming going on. I never see a New Holland. I always see like International and Case and John Deere and those heavier duty machines. Is it time that we start investing in a more heavy duty piece of equipment so it doesn't break as much? Or maybe spend a little bit more on the front end, but we have those savings on the back end because we have equipment that is up to the task at hand?
Well, we do have both types of tractors. We have some John Deeres and we have New Hollands right now. What happened in the past, I'm not sure. But we'll try to do our best in the future.
Yeah. I understand that need to, support local business. We probably need to, balance that with, getting the right equipment for the job. Whether, the companies here need to start offering those lines or not, that's up to them. But thank you again. I know y'all are grinding away behind the scenes on it.
Thank you.
Yield.
Could buy some more goats. The goats are back, by the way. We got the goats back.
Item F,
District 1 update, Councilmember Bartholomew.
Yes. Mr. Roussel, grass. I don't know how you keep to maintain the front levee with two people sometimes. Sometimes one person. It just behooves me to see how the grass is maintained on that front levee with the number of personnel you have. Evidently, the attitude has changed a lot about working and cutting the grass, making sure they do it while they're there. And I know you need some help. You need some help because the back levee is on the northern end and on the back sometime on the low end. It's in bad shape. But I know we just don't have the personnel and the equipment, so I know you can't do much without that. So I would ask that you get up and do a report or something, especially to me, maybe all the parish-wide, of what is really needed in each district to maintain status quo as far as the grass cutting is concerned. Because, it's just hard and it looks terrible sometimes. But it's not by your fault, it's just that you don't have personnel to do it. So I really appreciate those guys that are there that's working hard, especially on the East Bank. I don't know too much about the West Bank because I don't see them fellas. They got too much levee, too much grass back there. You can't see them. But that they are really working, and I noticed that. So I want to thank you for that. Also, Mr. Richard Bierce, whenever you got a problem, you don't have enough time, you just don't have, you need something to do, come on East Bank.
Hi.
And I have a tractor, I'll let you use it, the 5-footer. We can work on it sometime, get you some experience and get into the bigger tractors. The other thing, as Reverend Edwards stated, the water pressure been dropping lately, not only just in Phoenix, but on the Dearborn area and in Point Lahash at night, not during the day, but sometime at night and in the mornings, early in the mornings. Because sometimes it'd be real low. I don't know if it's because of the prison taking on water or not. I really don't know. But it happens at least twice a week. It's different days, not all the same time, but it's mostly at night that we don't have that much of pressure.
I'll address it with the water operator.
Yeah, because I don't know what's going on.
I'll get
But
it.
it is a problem. Also, I'm still very concerned about the water line from Phoenix to White Ditch, that Vestas situation. Okay, I read articles where it's been used satisfactorily sufficiently as a water supply item. But it does have a tendency to erode. With the grain of sand passing through the pipeline can erupt some of the asbestos out of that line. And it winds up in the drinking water. And over a period of time, the consumption of it could cause damage, cancerous items to certain people who's very immune to that. Rather than not having any impact, it can have an impact. And that's why they don't use it anymore. That's why they stopped using it. They go into plastic. I don't know if plastic may be the same thing as that. I don't know. But I guess every line we have some negative impact on health. But being asbestos itself is very detrimental to people, to the health of people. And I think whenever we get a grant to remove that, I would ask that we do parish-wide, put grants out there, see what there are grants available to eradicate or remove those asbestos water lines, because we have them on both sides of the river. The other thing is the Highway 15. I don't know who handles that, but we need to think about repairing that lower end Highway 15. Scott Roussel has been working at it, and he worked on it. He's halfway decent, but we still have problems extending the highway. It need to be overlaid. It need to be replaced. That's no ifs and ands about it. So that needs to be done. Also, I would like, I don't know, someone in the administration to look at, we passed the ordinance to take care of the lanes, some lanes that are in real deplorable condition. And anybody who handles that, what director does, I would like for you to come on the East Bank and look at some lanes and see how terrible it is, how bad they are. Because I don't think the ambulance and fire trucks can go down those lanes. And one of the lanes are next door to a property that we lease for recreation in Bohemia, Point LaHash, south of Point LaHash, anyway. And the driveway is terrible. They got ruts, not holes, they got wells down there, I call it semi-wells. But we need to look at that, see what can be done to repair those driveways for the poor people. And other than that, I want to thank everybody for what they have done. And I hope we continue to improve from where we are. And the last concern I have is the recreational program on the East Bank. We have any updates on that?
We're waiting for the articles to be reinstated for the Portland Hash.
You have that. That's done. That's done. I gave copies of that.
You gave us a copy of the application and the check that was sent in.
Did you check it?
I've not gotten anything from the Secretary of State that says.
You called
the
them?
Fire department is in good standing.
Did you call them?
No, sir.
Did you ask for a copy from the state?
No.
They're not gonna send it to you.
Well, the Portland Hash.
All right, I'll get it from the I'll get you a copy from the volunteer fire department so you can have it in hand. All you have to do is call and ask the fire chief for it, if that's the holdup. I gave you a copy to show you the process where it was done, it was sealed and stamped and paid.
I understand that, but I don't
But-
really feel like it's our responsibility to go ask for that information.
But you gotta ask the chief for it, if y'all want it. If you say that's the holdup, because I asked the attorney to meet with the fire chief to set that up. He said he was gonna do that, and that never did happen, nor did he call him. He never called him. So, I mean, if you say they're gonna do something, I think it wasn't you, but it's Randy Buer. He said he was gonna do it, and he never called him. And the paperwork is in. They have copies of it. So you want a copy of the paper? I'll give it to you. You want it? Get it to you tomorrow. Them fax it to you tomorrow. And that'll take care of that. Then you can give them the key to go open the weight room and open the pool up, start getting the pool together and everything else. With that in mind, if you get once the paper, you're going to receive the paper tomorrow. When we will be able to get the pool open?
So that's going to depend on the CEA.
Well,
And I haven't seen the CEA. I don't know what it
Okay.
says.
so you mean to
That's
tell
something
me?
that the attorneys need to work out between Plaquemines Parish government and the Portland Hedge Volunteer Fire Department.
So Randy Buer, the attorney, parish attorney, did not give you a copy of the CEA. He gave me a copy of it.
I do not have a copy.
You don't have a copy. And it's pretending your department, you didn't give you a copy. That's transparency. Okay. That's all I have. I've never heard of it.
Item I,
Announcement of public meeting to be held August 13, 2020, to consider adopting resolutions ordering and calling an election to authorize the levy of special taxes therein. Councilmember LaFrance.
thank you. Item J,
Discussion regarding tax exemption application number 2.
excuse me, that's going to be withdrawn.
Okay, yes, sir.
Jay is withdrawn.
Yes. Item 11,
Approval of the minutes from the July 9, 2020 meeting.
Offer.
I have a motion by Mr. Conovich, seconded by Mr. Bartholomew. Any question from the table? Audience, machines are open. And the measure passes 5-0.
I move to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion to adjourn by Mr. Russo, seconded by Mr. Bartholomew. Before we take a vote, I would like to thank everyone for the cooperation, teamwork. That's what it's all about. Machines are open.
Price.
Thank you. The measure passes 5-0. We will have adjournment at 7:17